Okay, well, first of all, we'd like to say thank you so much for all of your love and support. Thank you, everybody who came to our special event celebrating our 100th episode that you are about to listen to here. I wanted to take a minute to first congratulate everybody who won the prizes during this event, and so I want to go over again who those prize winners are, what you're going to get, and again, thank you so much to all of our sponsors for making that 100 party so much more lively with your wonderful gifts. Jatan, Zakia, Ryan Trent, and Amanda S. You have won our very special keychain made limited edition by Trizzy Studios. Be on the lookout for that. The $50 gift card to Lola and Carr. Becky, it's on the way. The $50 gift card to Sarah Loves Makeup. Lisa H, it's just for you. Aaron, you won the nice, wonderful package from Moon Candle Co. And a special shout out to Ramiro. You won our special episode, Cousins in This Motherfucker. So, hit up Amanda and I on our Instagram and let us know when you're ready to do that recording. And then, last but not least, Trizzy, longtime OG, listener from the jump of Trizzy Studios. You won the thing from Wandering Bud. We're so excited for you. So everybody, again, thank you so much for coming to our party. Thank you so much to our sponsors for these wonderful gifts. And we look forward to hanging out with you all the more in 2023.
We're no longer strangers.
I know. And it's funny because when we had spoken to Kelly, she was like, what are you guys gonna do once you you're like friends, not strangers? And it really just didn't dawn on me until like way later that if we met in person, we would then be changing the premise of the entire podcast. But at the end of the day, you're still always getting to know the people in your life. You're still always finding out new things about, even people you've known forever. Anyway, welcome to Imperfect Strangers Podcast, the season finale. This is the 100th episode of our show, for which we've already had a party.
We've already been celebrating for a whole week now.
It's crazy, though. Really, honestly, I know we say it all the time, but
if you're new here and you haven't had a chance to listen to anything yet, and this is the first place that you're starting, welcome. This podcast was started, it actually kind of started to get its legs back in 2019, but we didn't really know that that's what was happening. And Melissa was a guest on a show that I had at the time called Your Mom Has a Podcast, and we recorded a few times due to technical difficulties. And then out of that, we just were texting randomly, and I was like, wow, this lady's really funny to talk to. And then I was like, hey, I think maybe we should make a podcast together. And Melissa, surprisingly, was like, yeah, cool, let's do that. So we started recording for 6 whole months, just banking audio every week, like real consistent professional podcasters. And then all of a sudden in May, you had done, I think you did the B list. And after that, you were like, yeah, let's do this for real. Let's put it out there.
Yeah. That's kind of really how it happens. I do think I do feel kind of bad sometimes because I was like, because at the time you were just building Your Mom Has a Podcast. You were just gaining little steam. And I think you maybe even going into your second season. And I was, and when it came time to be like, let's make a podcast. no way, shape, or form was I like, let's not make yours though. So sorry about that.
No. Well, I think the pandemic kind of handled that because up until that point, everybody that I interviewed was local and they were coming to my house every week and we were recording here live. And so once COVID hit, I tried to do a couple of remote interviews, but I didn't have any experience. I literally had zero experience getting into this. So I was just wildly watching YouTube videos and trying to figure out how to do this audio shit. And it wasn't great, but I was able to put something out that sounded halfway decent. But I think what happened was I was running out of people to talk to. And so then the work was getting harder to try to find more and more people to interview that actually wanted to, share their story. And you were just a willing participant. So I was like, let's just ride this train.
Yeah. And then the funny part is, we were really learning as we go, because after I was a guest on B-List with Pet Shop Boy, he was the one that made me download Audacity. And then I called you right after. I was like, yo, do you know how to make a podcast with this thing called Audacity? That's what we should do.
Right. Because we were Skyping. Every time we would talk, we were Skyping, and I had never used Skype before. And it's not the most friendly way to record audio and be able to make it sound good. So yeah, thanks to that interview with Pet Shop Boy, that really just elevated the show like 100 times.
I mean, to the point where we had, gosh, this goes way back. I'm going to say we even borrowed Jaden XD's in-house person. We gave them a track. We used to do our track on the same, we used to record on the same track, which in podcast world is like, that's not smart to do.
No, it's really bad.
And so I think we paid him to like clean it up, whatever. And I remember him emailing me back and being like, babe, you don't have two separate tracks? I was like, what's that mean? So, like, we really have learned as we've gone along. And, like, our whole goal the whole time was, well, for me specifically, I was like, I don't want to put no raggedy shit out. So, let's keep, like, trying to, like, tweak it. And then when it's ready, we'll put it out. Justin Beck was always like, you should just record until you feel like you found a voice in a space where it sounds like you're not going to be embarrassed if you put it out. I was like, well, I'm going to be embarrassed in it. I mean, I'm still...
Same.
What are we, like, what do we be talking about? What are y'all talking about?
It gets real wild sometimes, to the point where I'm often afraid when people find it and they tell me they listen to it. And I'm like, oh, please don't do that, because I have to see you tomorrow face to face in real life. And you might know too much about me, and that's not what we're going to do today.
Oh, yeah, I don't... But whatever.
Hey, listen, it's okay.
Yeah, the point is, we built a thing. It's been really great. But we built a thing based on the premise of two strangers getting to know each other. And then for our 100th episode, we said, oh my God. We actually didn't. We're making it sound like we really planned it. For our 100th episode, accidentally, it just worked out that we could meet in person.
Yeah.
And we were just like, yeah, let's meet in person. So I think there's two things going on here. I think that it was an organic building of a friendship over the phone, but it happened to be documented.
Yeah.
And for the purposes of consumption, which is weird, but not in this social media age. It's kind of not weird. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh. This must be what it feels like for people that have come up in a time of dating apps.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Spend a lot of time, trying to glean information from what the other person on the other side of the screen is sharing, and then like actual landline phone conversations, and then they meet in person. So technically, we could have met in person and it could have been a disaster.
Oh, 100%. I mean, obviously neither of us have ever had to do online dating, and really up until recently, like, my social media presence was locked down. And it was only the people that I actually had in my everyday life. So I know that you have experience with like having online relationships with people and making friendships out of those. I didn't have any of that. So this was like all brand new. And you're right. Like there was a very real possibility that we could have met last weekend and within the first 30 minutes been like, yeah, this is different and weird. And this isn't working in, face to face. Cause I think that it's really easy to get to know somebody through text. It's really easy to get to know somebody over the phone because there's not that opportunity, I don't think, for like social anxiety and being self-conscious because there's some protection being virtual or, being long distance. So this was a big gamble, I think. We could have really fucked things up.
I mean,
this could be the final episode ever if that didn't work out last week. And we'd have to come back on here and apologize and be like, hey, listen, we know.
But even if that happened, here's the thing, though. That's the beauty of the internet and that's the beauty of podcasting is even if that happened, like we established through the making of the podcast that part did work, Yeah. I mean, I think it could have been equally as interesting if the in-person part was like, nah, that shit was kind of weird, bro. Let's just stay on the phone. I mean, how could you address that? But, it worked out. I think that all of this is really born out of time and place because this would be, just think about how people that met and then got married off dating apps, like when you first used to hear about that stuff, how they were all secretive about how they met. Like now there's no stigma attached to any of that. It's just like, yeah, we met on a dating app and here we are. So part of this is only weird to us because of the age we're in and because of our relationship to the internet, because we were there when it was invented.
And we were there to witness the real stigma that people had. I remember I had a boss one time who was like, she was talking about her boyfriend and like definitely felt uncomfortable telling me she met him online. And at the time I was just like, oh, okay, who cares? But it was real. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I still don't be trying to explain this shit to people. Because it does sound crazy. It sounds crazy.
It sounds insane.
To me, I think, but probably to other people, it doesn't. It's really like if you, you work with a coworker or someone that helps you in your everyday line of business, and then one day you guys meet at a convention. Like, okay. I mean, I guess that's how you'd say it. But this is also layered because we've also built a community around this. And so people have been watching us get to know each other. And then the other layer of it is people have an idea of me and how I'll respond to things and what my triggers are and what my likes and dislikes are, just because I've had such a long time, lurking around the internet. And I'm not like a front-facing persona per se. I only just got the blue check a year ago and I still don't even really be on there. I'm specifically still behind locks and shit, and if you really want to know, you got to dig around to get to know. But there are people that do know, and so I think part of the fun in consuming the podcast was experiencing getting to know me through Amanda and being like, Amanda, why are you asking her that? She is not gonna like that. Amanda didn't know Shannon like that. And then also on the flip side, me getting to know, this completely random person out of the blue and then just putting it out on the internet. So it really is like, it really has come full circle. It's weird, but not weird. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I can't either. And this weekend, I thought, I'm really maybe giving my kids a bad lesson, because growing up, like internet safety, I remember, all of the things that were taught. And we still talk to kids about it this day just because of predators online, but you never knew who you were talking to in an AOL chat room. And you never really know who you're talking to through Instagram or Snapchat or whatever. And so we talk to our kids all the time about, being safe on the internet. And within the last 6 months, I've met 1, 2, 3, 4 strangers from the internet and brought my kids often onto those adventures. And I'm like, hi, here's my friend Victor from the internet. Let's go walk around New Orleans with him for the day. Oh, by the way, we're going to go meet Melissa and her entire family for brunch today. No, we've never met before, but you guys have talked to him on the phone. It'll be fine.
Yeah. No. Trust me, because I am.
Who else is coming to brunch? Oh, my other friend from the phone, Matt.
Correct. I have been so adamant about stranger danger all of this time. And I also had a specifically bad experience, with someone who felt overly familiar with me over a long time, which actually led to my going underground the way that I did. So it really must be very confusing for my kids, who I'm always like, don't do that. That's dangerous. Don't put a picture. Da, 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 da. And then here I am like, oh yeah, that stranger, they're in our house. Don't trip. But I also feel like there is kind of when you're working with someone. So like we had the added advantage, I guess the added awkwardness too, of having to figure out how to work together and create a thing at the same time as being friends and possibly running into creative differences or, whatever. But at the same time, still having to maintain the premise of the show, which was getting to know each other and, keeping the lights on here in our closets. So it's like, there was a lot of layers to it. But I will say, I met you. Now I've met you. And it feels completely normal. I still think that there's a lot that we could get to know each other about. I still got to make my way to Ohio. But there was no time during that weekend where we actually spent time together where I was like, yeah, this is weird. I think maybe driving in and being like, oh God, this is happening. What if she thinks I'm gross?
Yes. Oh my God. Absolutely. I was like low key, just like a little, it just felt like this like little vibration. I was a little nervous when I got to the restaurant and took off my jacket. I was like, wow, my armpits have definitely been sweating and I didn't even know it. So, there was that little like layer of excitement. Oh my God, this is finally going to happen. Do I have on enough deodorant? Do I smell okay? Are we clean? The children's nails are clipped. Great. My manicure is fresh. Awesome. I got to present like my best self. Everybody better be on, your best behavior. Oh, I really hope Justin, Beck, and Chris get along, because if not, that might be weird. So there were like all of these other little pieces. It wasn't just us. It was our whole families.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then I was just like, oh my God, what is it going to be like? Am I going to cry? Is this going to be like exciting? Is it going to be weird to talk to her face to face because I've only ever talked to her online? Like there were all of these little pieces that, it could have made things awkward or weird. And it was just like, we sat down and started talking and it was like, no big deal. Like we've done this a million times.
Yeah. And I have to say I've had this experience before, like let's say with the cast of The Real World. If you think about it, I just met these random people, lived with them, and then we went our separate ways for 20 years, and then we re-met again, and it wasn't awkward somehow, some way. So I don't know. There's a way that we cope and we adjust. I'm actually going to dinner with Kelly tonight.
Aww.
And I'm still getting to know her. I know her, but I'm still getting to know her. So this feels a lot like that, where you intimately know someone, but there's still space to get to know them. But then you really genuinely like them. And so it just worked out. And that, I think, is really special, because there are so many women I hear about who are like, I have such a hard time making friends. But like the internet has made that really easy.
I mean, everybody's easy to access. And so if there's, somebody that you might be connected to through another friend, or even just like through this podcast, as you were saying, like we build a community, it's been really cool to watch the people in our community connect.
Yes.
And I've seen it happen through our Instagram, but I see it happen very closely in what happens in our Patreon community. And, we have the people that have been there since day one, but every time somebody new comes in, I'm just delighted every time somebody new comes in, and everybody in that group is like, hi, welcome, come in. And they're finding their similarities. Oh, I live here. Oh, I like this. Oh, you do this, us too. And they're like answering questions, and they're meeting up on their own, and they're supporting each other in their lives and checking in on their kids and their families and their pets. It's just, I feel like somebody needs to do some kind of research project about what happens.
Yeah. No,
in these online communities.
Listen, and it can go, it can go real bad.
Yeah.
Or it can go really, really, really well.
We've had no demons. We've had no bullies. Like literally, and probably because like nobody knows who we are. We're still quite small. But in like 2 years, we haven't had really anything like nasty. Everybody's been really cool.
And I don't know if that's like because of our age group, like we're all adults, and we're all adults, and like this is like a bonus, like, oh, I have this little pocket of people that I can confide in, that I like the same things I like. But then also I can step away from that, and I can have a boundary, and I can come back in, like we've all been arguing about the niece being the asshole for about 3 weeks now. But we're all friends still.
It gets heated. I love it when there's like great debates that happen in that Discord, and everybody's like, we're all still cool. It's good. You're wrong. You're wrong. We send people to jail sometimes in the Discord, but then we can all come back and agree and still be friends, and then find something new to argue about.
I'm really happy that it turned out the way that it did, because that feeling slack would have been real messed up if it was bad. But what's as funny as that is, I didn't spend a lot of time worrying about the possibility of it being bad.
Yeah.
And I'm a really catastrophizer.
You are.
I'll be the first one to be like, oof, what we gonna do? But it was, and then what's even crazier is Justin Beck didn't think it was weird, and he's like the first one to like, I've had so many times where I've had to be like, oh, no, this is my friend from Texas. I met her. Actually, I met her on an email, and then we just been pen pals for literally 15 years, and never met in person. Anyway, I was talking to her on the phone, and he'll be like, dude, you don't think you're weird? I'm like, I don't. I don't. So normally someone who thinks I'm very weird, his first thing was, why don't you have, because he was trying to help me navigate the day. He was like, why don't you have Amanda come over here? And I was like, because logistically, then her husband has to get here and there, and then she's got to move all the kids around. And I was like, we need to make it so that the guest who's in town is being able to operate with ease. We go to them. We do the hard parts. And he's like, okay, I get it, but that's crazy. And so for Justin Beck to be like, yeah, let's have the stranger in my house. But then again, Justin Beck is also a person who has auditioned band members and been like, oh, babe, real quick, this 7-foot drummer and this other dude with really long hair, both of whom we've never met before, they're going to audition and then also sleep in Maja's room. So like we... So we do wild shit, I guess. Oh my God, really, truly, what are we teaching the children? Oh my God.
That is really wild.
But it's all worked out.
It's all worked out.
See, you have to keep in mind, when you said you were coming to New York, I said, oh, what do you plan on doing? You had texted me, literally, this girl, and y'all know from listening to the show how she be trying to get a lot done in a little bit of time. She said she was going to go to the Empire State Building. She was going to go Concrete Jungle Where Dreams Are Made Of. She was going to go to Statue of Liberty. She was going to go to 9/11 Never Forget. She was going to go to the Natural History Museum. Like, she was going to do like 10,000 New Yorker things. And so in my mind, you remember I said, are you staying here for a month or what?
Yeah. I was like, we have 5 whole days. That's like so much time.
I was like, babe, you with 5 days, you have time to go to maybe the Statue of Liberty. You have time to get a Mr. Softy. You have time to go shopping on Soho. And then you have time to take naps. That's it. There's no time. Especially because it's Christmas time, you know? Like, you got to see the tree. You gotta maybe go ice skating, you know, do the things you like, you know, that white people like. I was like, there's no time.
And I'm like, you're crazy. There's plenty of time.
Mind you, I've lived here for 20 years and haven't done half the things she's finished and accomplished in the 5 days that she was here. So I had originally planned to come to her with all of my children, with my whole entire family. There really wasn't that much logistics going on. They just knew, oh, we have to do a Zoom, and I'm meeting Amanda for the first time, so y'all better not motherfucking try me. And then I guess the funny part is we had not discussed the actual parts of hanging out. It was, we were producing our 100 episode party, which included us getting to know each other. And I actually was thinking, if that's the first time we get to know each other and it's on camera, that could be really interesting. But also, you know, that wasn't going to be the case because I was going to get there a couple hours before. So we were going to, like, you know, kind of get to know each other and then hope for the best. But then at the end of that, Amanda's like, wait, so if you come and we eat dinner real quick and then we set up the Zoom, we're only going to hang out for 4 hours out of this 5-day thing. And it had not dawned on me that does sound crazy. Because I was trying to leave space for her to do the 20 things she wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, and I was also trying to, like, not, because, you know, I also know that it's a big ask to, like, bring your whole family to the city. And so you also don't like to be outside, and
Correct.
It was cold outside. So I was trying to also be like, we were both trying to be respectful of the other's space and time. And I didn't want to, like, ask too much of you, but, like, also I was, like, dying to see you and hang out because it's been so long. And I was like, I have this whole day. I don't have anything planned. I need more than 4 hours with you. Like, that we have to do something else. So Melissa was like, well, why don't we meet up for brunch? You guys can we were going to go visit Chris's childhood home and see all of the, you know, strong family history over there in New Jersey. And she's like, why don't we meet up 12:45? We'll grab brunch here. And so I was like, okay, that's good. Now this is going to give me a little bit more time. We can hang out and I can, like, really just, like, luxuriate in the presence of my new friend, Melissa Beck.
And I thought that was nice too, because then it was like a controlled environment, you know, because if we went to brunch, the kids would have something to do while they hung out and talked, and then we could have our, like, leisurely, you know, meal and actually get to know each other. And then it was after the whole, which the Zoom was actually really, really fun. It really flew by. It went really quick. But after that, I was just like, and I felt bad because, you know, still trying to be mindful that this is a family vacation. But after the Zoom was over and we logged off, I looked at Amanda and I was like, listen, I don't know how you feel about abandoning your whole family tomorrow, but I'm finna abandon mines.
And I said, I always abandon my family when I go on vacation.
Because I was like, I'm going to come back to the city tomorrow. We're going to go to a nice fancy lunch because we wanted to also take Matt, who is our in-house unspoken producer of all of our events, because he's so good at the Zooms, and he also, like, you know, understands my level of ineptitude he can manage it. I wanted to be able to see him off onto his flight and also like have a nice, meal with him without our kids in his face, because, it is a lot to ask a childless person to hang out with 6 children. It is.
Poor Matt. We were all at the table, the 10 of us. And then here comes Matt up the stairs. Now, if you don't have the pleasure of knowing Matt is like 7 foot tall. He is very stylish. He is like groomed and put together. He's just gotten off a plane and the man looks flawless. And he comes to sit down and he's, poor guy, we've sat him on the edge closest to the children. And he was like, wow, I am now sitting at this table with all of these tiny people. And I've just flown from my place in the middles to come here. And now I'm going to sit here and have lunch. And also Melissa and I could be possibly annoying after a while. And he just came in just full of grace and did his thing and helped us out.
I think too, like the Matt buffer, because imagine it had gone bad. Now Matt could just be in the middle and be like, okay, so the Zoom party. But it actually, it really felt very natural. And I met Matt, and this is another thing. I met Matt in person recently, like within the year. Went to dinner, whatever. But I've also known Matt for a really long time, like a decade plus. Like talking on the phone. Justin and Matt are friends on their own without me. So it kind of was like a buffer, but like not a buffer. So there was no really space for anybody to feel weird. Everybody was meeting for the first time. And I feel like Matt also didn't, it was real natural. Listen, we got lucky. We got lucky.
We got really lucky. It was beautiful. I had so much fun.
And I think like my first impression of you was, I think in person, your voice is so much more Midwestern than over the phone. I don't know how to explain that, but I was like, oh, she's like, everything is long and drawn out like the Rugrats mom. Like she sounds different. I can't explain it.
I know. You said that and I thought that was so funny because I think that I sound the same, like hearing myself speak just normally here. And then, when I listen back to the episode, I don't hear any different. So I thought that was hilarious that you picked up on some kind of weird, Midwestern drawl.
I did. I don't know how, but I was like, oh, but then also you seemed shorter to me. You look like a tall person in pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you just look like a tall person in pictures because your husband's tall.
Yeah.
And you guys match, But I don't know, y'all. We met. The show was still a show.
Great. The show is still a show. We're here to make new episodes. I'm trying to think. We had some questions come up, but maybe I'll save those for the end and we'll go through those. So we had brunch. We came back to the Airbnb. So Melissa's first time in an Airbnb ever.
Oof. Baby.
It wasn't okay. Listen, it was weird, but it was clean and it was safe and it gave us enough space to do what we needed to do. It may not have been the most well-appointed Airbnb that I've ever been in, but also I wasn't responsible for choosing it.
Okay, hold on though, because I looked right at Chris. at brunch and was like, so that Airbnb, and he leans right in and goes, let me tell you something. He said, did she say that I was responsible for the Airbnb? And I said, actually, yes. She said that you picked it. And he goes, oh, no. Let's just get one thing clear. He said that the one that you picked didn't have very many reviews. And the one that he chose, which was this one, did. And you told him go on ahead. So like he couldn't feel like he had to be responsible for that. But let me tell you something. I have always had a preconceived notion about Airbnbs of just being in people's stuff. Like,
yeah.
And I just think that's crazy. Supposedly there are Airbnbs that feel hotel-y, like they have their own sheets, they have their own this, they have their own that. That's what I thought that Amanda was doing. And apparently that's what I
thought I was doing.
And apparently that's what you've been doing, except for the one time that you needed it to be that. All this time of doing Airbnbs, of you doing like commercial kind of Airbnbs, the one time you do the residential kind, which was the exact idea that I had of an Airbnb, and I was coming. Put it for the record. Somebody get a stenographer. Get a stenographer at the 33-minute mark of this motherfucking conversation. Amanda said, I almost wanted to eat the cost of leaving the Airbnb because I knew, oh, here we go. She's going to have a field day. And I did I though? I was really cooperative.
You were amazing. So when we okay, I don't know how to explain this. Okay, so we flew into the city very early and we went straight from the airport. We fed the children. We went right into Times Square. So we had a whole ass day. We had to come back to the Airbnb, which was in northern New Jersey, and we had to meet the gentleman who was the property owner. So we get there. It's like 7 o'clock. I've been up since 3 a.m. and I have now been overstimulated with all of that activity of the city and people and the tree and all of that. And now I have a migraine. What I don't know is I'm about 24 hours out from starting my period. So like physically, mentally, I am donezo. We get to this Airbnb. It's clean. It's nice. It looks like it has looked in the pictures. And the gentleman is showing us the rooms and showing us which dresser drawers are open and available and showing us which closets are locked and which ones are open. And then he goes into the closet in the hall, opens it up, takes out a garbage bag and takes the laundry from the dryer and puts it into the bag. And now I'm starting to connect the dots and I'm going, there was a bulletin board in that back bedroom with a bunch of papers on it and a big working desk. And why did he tell me he's cleaned out the top 3 drawers for my use? I've never stayed in an Airbnb where somebody actually fucking lives there as their primary residence.
Baby, that was crazy.
So he leaves, and Chris has also been like doing this mental math of like adding up all of the things that seem odd because we've never in like 7 years of renting Airbnbs have we ever experienced this. And the guy leaves and we're both like whispering in the back bedroom like, should we go someplace else? Is this safe? Is this does he live here? And I was like, babe, his kids' names and like heights are marked on the doorway like into the family.
No.
Like,
No. This was bananas. You know, every real estate show tells you depersonalize. We walked in that door and literally you are facing a wall that has marked etchings of how tall each child was. And for a year, I was like, not only is this someone's home, this is a child. Where did the children go?
Right. So we were having like a lot of feelings. I'm texting Melissa. I was like, I don't know if I can stay here. My head is about to explode. The children are tired. The children have no idea. They've not caught on to anything. So I'm like, and the fact that Chris is concerned, because in crisis, Chris is the one that is always level-headed. He's always the one that's like, let's look at the logical part of this. It's going to be okay. He's got a solution. And I was like, the fact that this man is tripping about this other man living here means that now my alarms are like going off big time. And maybe I need to like escalate the situation with him. But it was late. We fed the children. Everybody went to bed. I was like, maybe I'll wake up feeling different in the morning. It turned out to be okay. Nobody got kidnapped. Nobody got murdered. Eduardo never showed up. That's not his real name, by the way. Never showed up and was like trying to do laundry or creeping in his bathroom.
Dude, all I know is at one point she was texting me about this Airbnb and like I'm on the edge of my seat. I have zipped my lips so tight. I'm like, because you know how much I love being right. You know how much I love it. I was like, Melissa, be
you
cool.
were so kind and supportive.
Don't say no wild shit. Because I was just like, okay. I'm like, well, we can make it work. Then she texted me a picture. She's like, no, you don't understand. I'm trying my hardest to make it work. And then she texted me a picture of her singular brown sheet with no blanket, and she had a pillow. I was like, hold on, that's a lot of singular things going on here. What you mean it sleeps 6? It looked like it slept a 6-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
It was,
yes. Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. He didn't. There were
Girl.
not enough blankets or pillows.
She said it was a beach towel. She said the towels were beach towels.
They were. They were beach towels. Oh,
And
God.
I was like, you know what? I can't. And at that point, I was like, okay, well, we're going to have to figure something out. So I started it just on my own, just an exercise. I was like, let's see what a hotel room in Manhattan is day of. You know, like, it's an emergency situation. What if we can't go up in this weird ass Airbnb? And I was like, we'll just pay for it. We'll just do it. And Justin's like, or they could just come over. But when people come to Manhattan, they don't come to Long Island and spend the day. Like, that's dumb.
Well, and the other part of it was that this whole trip was originated by the fact that Chris had bought concert tickets to go see a show in the middle of nowhere, New Jersey. So if we came to your house, the next problem was that Chris was going to now have to drive an hour plus versus the 45 minutes that it was going to take him from our place. So then it was like, well, do we just like hang Chris out to dry and be like, sorry, now you have to drive extra time from Long Island to middle of nowhere, New Jersey, or just stay where we are? And it was a bit. And I was like, I'm ready to eat crow because I know Melissa's going to come in here. I know Matt's going to come up in here and be like, oh, girl. But you guys were very kind. Nobody made any really harsh jokes except for the teenagers.
Oh, Quinn and Shalom were in it. They were dying. They were making TikToks. I'm sure by the end of that stay, they understood how to start a grow house because this man left his books on how to grow marijuana. It was crazy. But you know, the Star Wars shower curtain. I was like, we are really in this 45-year-old hypebeast house. This is crazy. But I also feel like it was very on brand too, because I am violently against Airbnbs and how excited I am to be right. So I was like, I love it here. I'll take it. I mean, he had a junk drawer. It was very imperfect.
He had
strangers.
a whole ass junk drawer. I think we took a picture of it, or we at least filmed it for the Zoom, letting everybody know that this man also had a junk drawer in this Airbnb. He had his little NRA license up on the side of the fridge along with his children's artwork. It was just a very interesting experience all the way around.
I mean, I'm glad that closet was locked after I saw that NRA badge. I was like, okay, this is
it's okay. Everything's okay.
Justin didn't even say shit. I was actually Justin was just like, cool. He literally sat his butt in the corner on the sofa and didn't lift a finger. Didn't intervene with a child, not a one time. He was looking at commercial Zillows and had him a nice, quiet, relaxing coffee. I was like,
yeah, he was having a good old time. I think he'd look up every once in a while and tell Lennox his magic tricks were cool. And then he'd go right back to doing whatever he was wanting to do. The children were just feral the entire time. But it was good. It was fun. The Zoom party went off. Thank you to everybody that joined us for our little meet up. In case you were wondering what all those meat puns were for the last month.
Oh my God, those were so good. I don't know why we thought we were so clever. I really, and this was actually one of the first times that we had the Zoom where I couldn't see everybody. I couldn't.
Yes, I couldn't either. Well,
so
because we were looking at the same computer. I
couldn't tell if people were having a nice time or whatever, but apparently it worked out nicely, and it's great. So, wowzers, we did it.
We did it. And then the next day, we met up for lunch, and everybody was asking, where did you take me? So we went to Houston's, as we've talked about on this podcast before. And Melissa got ribs, and I got a chicken sandwich, and she let me try her ribs, and they are as delicious as she's explained.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it was a weekend of firsts for me, okay? So, like, this family is just adventurous. They're just go with the flow, and, they don't worry about the stuff I be worrying about. So, after lunch, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with you guys to wherever you guys are going, and then I'll take my Uber home from there. So, Quinn had said that she wanted to go to Brandy Melville. And I love Brandy Melville. I buy Shalom stuff there all the time. I was like, ooh, I want to see Quinn experience Brandy Melville. I'll come. So we're all standing there, and Quinn takes a little phone out, and she knows how to read a map. She's like, okay, so it's, and she's, a lot like Amanda in that she's, taking the helm and, directing everybody. She goes, okay, so if we walk, it's going to be a 40-minute walk. And if we get on the subway, it'll be, look at this, 12 minutes. Now, I'm also still trying to be really cool. Nobody here is trying to hear about my eczema. Nobody here is trying to hear about, how I don't be doing public transportation. So I was like, oh, okay. So, we're going to get in an Uber or something. And everybody's looking at me like, I go, well, I'll just call Justin. I'll just call Justin and have him get us an Uber. And then Chris is like, wait, I'm sorry. You're going to do what? I said, I'm going to call Justin and tell him to put us in Uber. He goes, why don't you just... He goes, well, first of all, we're getting on the subway. And I was like, wowzers, let's slow down here. Let's think of this through. And he goes, but even if we weren't, what do you mean you have to call Justin to get you an Uber? I said, I don't have that dark-sided shit on my phone. He's like, but what if you... What do you mean? I was like, that shit is dangerous. I can't have that. I don't do that. He's like, didn't you take an Uber here? I was like, yeah, but this is a special occasion. And he was like, okay, so what if you really need to get someplace and like Justin's not available? How are you going to get in the Uber? And I was like, I looked right at him and I go, Chris, I don't be trying to get places. I don't know which.
He was so confused.
And I was like, I'm looking at you like, can you help him? What is he not? So then they're like, okay, well, let's just start walking to the subway. And I'm like, and I know Amanda's like, oh God, she's gonna start talking about her eczema. So I was like, okay, I hate to do this to everybody. And I was like, but I have a medical condition. Everybody's looking at me crazy. I was like, it's called cold urticaria. I'm allergic to cold, basically. When the cold touches my skin, it feels like I'm going to spontaneously combust. It's extremely painful, so how many blocks are we talking about? And Quinn's like, literally 12 minutes. And I go, okay, but what does that mean in terms of blocks? Luckily for Amanda, Matt had just explained to her at lunch.
Yeah.
He goes, it's annoying, Amanda, but you can do it. Here's how.
It was a whole set of instructions. It was like taking care of a gremlin. It was like, okay, whatever you do, there need to be plenty of breaks for scratching. Melissa was like, you're going to have to make a little half circle around me to hide me so that I can get my hand under my pants and scratch my legs. I was like, okay, cool. She's like, I'm going to need updates. I'm going to need to know how many more minutes we have until we get there. I think at one point Quinn piped up. She was like, this many blocks. And you were like, yes, but how much time? And Quinn was like, I can't deal with this right now. Melissa also needs frequent picture breaks.
Because I want to, listen, don't you guys want to see success? Come on. I want to see myself doing it. Don't you guys take pictures of yourself when you're running marathons and when you have your arms up running through the fucking finish line? Come on. I want to see, progress.
You wanted actual documentation that you were out living your life in the city doing the things that you don't normally do. I get it. It's okay. I was ready to oblige because I was just happy. Because what you friends don't know is that we had a whole conversation. I had to listen to Justin Beck scream in my ear the day before about Melissa's, I'm going to put this in quotes just for Justin, Melissa's, quote, medical condition. I'm sitting at the dinner table listening to this man scream at me about her condition, and Chris is looking at me with wide eyes like, what is going on? And I was just like,
No. He wasn't screaming at you
right now.
He was screaming at me. So Amanda was witnessing Justin and I have an argument.
By extension, though, I felt like I was also in trouble. Like I didn't really realize the severity of the situation that I was putting you in, what I was about to experience.
Because Amanda and Justin, we were on three-way, and Amanda and Justin were like talking about things like normal people talk about. He was like, oh, so what we're going to do is, we'll meet here and then we'll walk to da 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 da. And I go, that's not gonna, that's a lot of walking. That sounds like a lot of walking. And then jokingly, Justin says to Amanda, oh yeah, we have to take into consideration Melissa's, quote, medical condition. And baby,
it set you off.
That was the wrong ass motherfucking thing to say. Let me tell you something. Because I go, you are really not. And so now I'm mouthing to him. I go, I'm mouthing, you got me fucked up. In front of her, that's what you're going to do. And so he's like, babe, just calm down. Now calm down? So Chris is looking at Amanda like, what's going on? Amanda's sitting there like, I think they're arguing. And I was like, this is a really bad first impression. And I mean, when we hung up with you, it was a long night, baby.
But all of that to say, if you've been friends with Melissa online for any amount of time or have, experienced her writing or her blog or her Twitter, I'm here to tell you that I did not hear this woman complain a second. See? A second. She walked. I took the pictures. We didn't even have to stop for a scratch break, to be quite honest. She got to the bottom of those subway stairs. Oof. Chris buzzed her through the turnstile. And then we had to wait because every single time we would send the children through the turnstiles first, I would go through, and then Chris would run out of money on his Metro card. We'd have to wait another 10 minutes for him to fill that damn card to get through. So we had extra time waiting on the platform. Then we got onto a full-ass train on a Sunday afternoon to wherever we went, to Brandy Melville. No complaining. All I heard her say was, I have to take deep breaths. And I was like, great. You're doing it. You're doing great. We're almost there.
And that's why I was so offended, because Amanda was like, we got some questions. And people want to know, how often did you complain? And I was like, what the fuck's that supposed to mean? I was like, really? Is that? Because so this has been a great lesson for me in terms of like self-awareness. I think that, again, if you read my tweets or if you've read any of my writing or whatever, you guys are getting my deepest interior voice. But like in practice, in person, I am cooperative. I am kind. I am regular. I am not tripping. Inside, I'm tripping 100%. But I know better than to put that shit out into the ether and ruin everybody else's time. I did need scratch breaks, but I was being cool. I was like, it's okay. The back of my knees are on fire. The back of my knees are on fire. It's okay. We're going to make it. It's okay. It's fine. We got this. And it was fine. It was fine.
It was great.
You don't want to be the person that ruins the vibe.
And you didn't. I was so proud of you. I was like, wow, this is like actual, like, normal life.
The subway was crazy, I'm gonna be honest. I was struggling.
It was really crowded.
Oof. I mean, I don't understand it. And the thing was, if we waited until we got to like a car that wasn't jam-packed, we would have been waiting forever. We would have never gotten on it because it was crowded at all times. Mm-hmm. It was never not crowded. So you just have to jump in and smell people's scalp. You just got to do it. And nobody wears a mask. I was like, wowzers, this is a lot. Nobody wears a mask on public transportation.
Very few. I was really surprised to see that just across the board, everywhere we went. I was like, ooh, this is a lot of people in a tiny space, and you guys are all breathing each other's spittle, and this is crazy. Why? Do you not see those COVID, testing sites on every corner up on the street? Like, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm. Well, I told you. I remember Amanda had asked me, should I bring my kids' vaccine cards? There's going to be places where we need to prove vaccination and all that. I was like, girl, in the state of New York, the pandemic is over. Nobody
It is wild tripping. And free. Ugh.
It was crazy.
It was crazy.
But here we are. Neither of us have COVID yet. But we were masked. We were masked and we were careful.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
We were as careful as you could be while living outside. So it was a lot of outdoor stuff. And we were in the restaurant. We kind of had our own little private room up top.
Yep.
we did what we had to do to make it happen. But that subway, I gotta say, whew, that was really a lot. But I got home and Justin was like, "You did what?" I was like, "Babe, I got on the subway." Chris was like, "Hold on, how long have you lived here?" And I was like, "A long time." He's like, "And you've never gone on it?" And I was like, "I think that the one time that I did, that informed that I will never do that again." So
I felt like we were just having these huge wins. I was like, wow, this has really been a weekend of growth for Melissa. Look at all these things. She went into an Airbnb. She went out in the cold. She got on the subway. What else did we do?
I ate that potted meat. Oof.
Oh my God, you ate Skyline. We didn't even tell them. Well, you know what? If you want to hear all the full details, you can hop into Patreon and hear those full details. You can also see the party up on Patreon. But yeah, she ate Skyline. It was so much fun. I was so sad to leave. I was so sad to leave you because I felt like we were just getting started. Kids really loved your kids.
My kids had a wonderful time.
So they're already asking, can we go back to New York? Quinn even asked me this morning. She said, they should come to Ohio. I said, well, we're talking about it. Maybe they can.
We should come to Ohio. I know, which is crazy because I know that Quinn was also
Who says Ohio?
Yeah.
Ohio's a destination spot.
You never know. But I also think like I have always wanted those sunglasses that has the 2 O's and the word high in the middle. You know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about? They're really stupid. I really want them bad.
Yes. You know, it's funny. We were on the street one day. It was like one of the first days that we were in the city, and somebody walked by me with an Ohio State sweatshirt on, and I go, O-H. And I think I caught the guy by surprise, and then he was like, I-O. And my kids were like, you are so embarrassing. I said, guys, if you see an Ohio person anywhere in the world that's not Ohio, even in Ohio, that's like you have to do that thing. I actually saw a couple Ohio State sweatshirts happening up in Manhattan.
I got to get to Ohio.
We're everywhere.
And now I have a person in Ohio you can show me all around. I will be staying at a regular ass hotel. But
you could stay here. Come on, get the full experience. Stay in the Strong House. It's
oh my God, with Cookie and Louie and all them animals? No, ma'am.
All the animals. You could have Quinn's bedroom downstairs. You can have your own little area. We need to have like little hot tub excursions, little walks around the neighborhood. We take our little trip to Fabulous Furs. I can take you to an actual Skyline and you can try it for real.
No. that part is, we've exhausted that part. That's done. But we will be going to Fabulous Furs. We will be going to the Cop Steakhouse. Yep.
Yes.
I think all in all we did great. We did great. And now I can be like, oh yeah, my friend Amanda in Ohio, girl, I be knowing her. I know her.
I know.
I've met her
friend.
IRL. I mean, we did. I'm so excited for us, but I'm also so excited because, like, you know, it's the perfect neat little bow to this kind of very long-winded social experiment.
I mean, we couldn't have done it any better had we planned it. It's really incredible the way that the timing worked out. And being able to celebrate 100 episodes when we originally thought that 7 was going to just be like the pinnacle of achievement. And here we are. I mean, 100 episodes on the public feed. We have 1 million episodes in the Patreon, all of our Monday Night Lives. So I think, you know, not only thank you to you, I want to thank you for trusting me in the beginning and doing this crazy podcast.
What are you talking about? I want to thank you. How could we have done it without you? You know, I do not have the technology. I really don't.
We've divided and conquered on our own talents, and I feel like we just kind of naturally divided the work and jumped in where we felt we had our strengths and felt most comfortable. And turns out we've created a whole community around this podcast. So thank you to everybody listening right now for tuning in every week. Lord Almighty, how do you listen to us every week? Whew.
I know. Y'all are the weird ones, actually. But thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being our stranger friends online. And we're so excited to come back for season 6 with new episodes as actual friends. You'll have to stay tuned to see if Melissa ever comes to Ohio. What else? Anything else?
You said it's a 9-hour drive. I could do that.
Yeah,
I can do
it's a
that.
quick flight too. It's at like an hour and 12 minutes. It was so easy.
It's an hour flight?
Yeah.
Oh, what are we talking about driving for then? Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought maybe you wanted to see like Pennsylvania or something.
No, let's not get crazy. Because then that requires public restroom, and I have my things. But
I know.
let's reiterate for them again that I don't be complaining.
Melissa is a very lovely person. Melissa gives great hugs. Melissa is very thoughtful with the children. She brought really messy gifts for them all play with at the Airbnb.
Really bad. I am so sorry. I brought an excavation kit that required pounding and dirt. Sorry. Slime.
She brought slime.
Yeah, but
it's
you
okay.
brought Sharpie markers, so my children were in heaven. Because they are not ever allowed to touch a Sharpie. And they were like, what?
I know. As I put those into my bag, I was like, ooh, if somebody gave my kids 40 Sharpie markers, I would be like, what the fuck?
Girl, my
but
children
they were so happy.
Alive. They were like, wait, we can use these now? So happy. Okay. And Amanda's not a hugger, but she sure did hug me. So, and I didn't ask. So that's a testament to how well this worked out. We will see you guys for season 6. We'll let you know. You know how we are. Amanda's a planner and I'm not a planner, so we're going to halfway plan what that schedule is going to look like. And we will see you. We hope you have a really wonderful holiday and a really, really great new year. 2023, new year, new me. I don't know what that entails, but you'll see.
All right. Well, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Adios. And if you would like to join us in the Patreon, come on over. The water is fine. Patreon.com/imperfect strangers. Goodbye.
Thank you.